This is a video review of Chapter 8, Subject Area Models of Data Modeling Made Simple, second edition by Hoberman. I'm James M. Renaud, Dr. Renaud from Shawnee State University, and I'll be taking you through our discussion of subject area models. We've mentioned what a subject area model is in prior videos, but previous chapters, but I just want to go over it again. Usually they're one-pagers. They're all about how something works, and they're all about what important entities are being monitored. We're not worried as much about attributes at this point. We're more worried about the general structure of entities and the relationships between them. Um, the symbols you will use on a subject area model are here below or here to the side. We'll just use a rectangle for an entity and put the name of the entity in the rectangle. We'll use a line to connect entities to show their relations. We'll put a word on the line to say what the relation means. We'll use the four cardinality symbols to define the ends of the line so that we understand the cardinalities between the various entities. The four cardinalities are 1 to 1, 1 to 0, 1 or more, or 0 or more, and you can see that looking at the cardinalities. We've talked about that prior. There are two new shapes though you've never seen, and one is the subtype inclusive and the other is the subtype exclusive. Um, think of like students and professors and staff um, at a university. Well, are we all really not people and just different types of people? So we could have a people database or a people table that contains all of the common peopleness, if I can use that word, like name, birthday, gender, that kind of stuff that's universal among all of us, our addresses, our phone numbers, and then we would have subtype tables with a student subtype table that contains student information about the person who's a student. There'd be a faculty subtype information table, a faculty subtype table where the faculty information that's not general. And that way, you could even have a student who comes back and teaches, or you could have a professor come back and take a class. So that would be a person who is multiple things, both a student and a professor, or both a staff and a student. So that would be a subtype inclusive, where you could be multiple subtypes. The person could be multiple subtypes. And we'll talk about how that works in reality as we get into databases, as we get into more things. But you can see how when you're thinking about things, the idea of a subtype, supertype, and then the subtype exclusive symbol represents you can be one of the subtypes but not any of the others. Think about a veterinarian's office where the supertype is animal or pet. Then we would have the dog, cat, horse, chimpanzee, fish as various subtypes. And you can't be a cat and a dog at the same time. You got to be one or the other. So that would be an exclusive subtype. And why would you do that? Well, because cats have different problems, have different diseases, have different issues than dogs do, than horses do. So, because their biology is a little different. So, you can see how that would work in a subtype exclusiveness. But we'll see demos of that as we go through subject area models. So a subject area model is all about decision making, both IT decisions and business decisions. It's all about getting all of the different views of all of the stakeholders, of all of the people involved in this project, in this data collection, and trying to figure out, well, this person understands it this way, okay, and this person understands it this way. Okay, but those are two different ways to understand the same data, to understand the same problem. So the subject area model is where we work out these differences. We do our best to come up with a model that will answer the questions this person wants and answer the questions this person wants. So we're going to be looking at the business rules, the IT rules, the stakeholders' needs, and try to all unify those into one simple one page or 2 pages, but it'll be a very simple model, the subject area model. This whole thing supports our precision and supports our move as we move into the logical data, as we move into how to actually make this work. And the subject area model also helps us define the scope of the project, scope of the database, the scope of what we're going to store. Because if it's in the subject area model, it's there. If it's outside the subject area model, but the subject area model needs it to work, well, then we probably should add it. But if it's outside the subject area model and not necessary for the logical data model to work, then we probably should leave it out. So it again helps us define the scope. So the subject area model is a really important thing to consider when we're doing our data modeling, and that's why we're going to do it first. The book has, I think, about 7 different step-by-steps in how to make a subject area model, and I agree with that. That's nice, and it's a great thing. But let's just summarize how to make a subject area model. One, purpose. We need to know what we're modeling. What are we wanting to model? What is the purpose of this data? Um, and be sure to really understand the purpose. People will say, "Well, I want this." No, don't tell me what you want. Tell me why you want it, because that'll help me understand exactly what I need to create for you. Be sure you understand who the stakeholders are. Who? Bring them in. Understand everybody who's going to be affected by this data, by this database. Um, be sure you understand what exists. Understand the existing technology, the existing database, the existing data collections, and look for resources that already exist within the business. Maybe you've got some business experts. Maybe you've got some data experts already in the business. Bring them in, include them, because they're going to help you understand things that you don't understand otherwise. And last, um, look at the different types of users and approach them the way they need to be approached. For instance, an end user or an audience user. That's the person who's going to be actually taking care of and feeding and using the apps that the database is collecting data from. So, what is their approach? What do they need? We're going to need to talk to the business analysts, the finance people, the marketing people, the accounting people, the finance people, and all of those people to understand the data at the business level. We're going to need to talk to management and understand the strategic level. So be sure that you understand all of the different types of people that are going to be using this data and what their approach to using the data is. That's a brief summary of how to create a SAM. So over the next few slides, I'm going to go through an iterative process, which is how I suggest you approach any data model. Start with a very simple 2 or 3 entities, get the relationships down and go, okay, now I need to add something to that. I need to add this. I need to add this. Oh crap, that doesn't work. I need to change this. So by going through an iterative process and evolving and growing a data model, you're ensured to get, in my opinion, a much better production. So, for instance, I've got an insurance agency, and this insurance agency sells policies from lots of companies. They're an independent insurance agency, and they sell lots of different types of policies: homeowners policies, automobile policies, life policies, health policies, marine policies, business policies, and all kinds of other types of insurance. Um, they'd like to keep track of their customers, and they call them clients, but I'm calling them customers here. And a client may have no policies, but they still want to track them because they might buy something later. We call them prospects in the insurance business, but so a customer may have many policies. You may buy a homeowner's policy and a car policy and a life insurance policy from the same agency, or no policies at all. The agency also deals with business customers and individual customers. Business needs are different than individuals' needs, but businesses need workers' compensation insurance, and businesses need marine policies, and businesses need lots of other types of insurances. So that's good. And individuals have needs also. And there are many agents that work for this insurance agency. So an agent sells the policy. Now, the agent goes with the policy, not the customer, because maybe you've got an agent that specializes in life insurance and another agent that specializes in autos and homes. So if a customer or client wants to buy all three, then they would deal with the life agent who's better at that, and the property and casualty agent, the auto and home agent to deal with that policy, even though it would all be part of the same agency. So that's the example. Let's start with the subject area model. So my very first stab at a subject area model is above. I've got a customer, I've got an insurance company, and I've got a policy. Those are the three big entities, right, that we talked about in the previous slide. We're going to see agent, and we're going to see some other sneak in here as we iterate through this. But these are the three biggies, aren't they? A customer buys a policy is issued by an insurance company. Okay, base entities with relationships. Now, let's put cardinalities on those relationships. So you can see above, I've added cardinalities, and I've also added the agent entity. So a customer can have 0 or more policies. A policy belongs to one and only one customer. That makes sense. An insurance company can have 0 or more policies, and a policy belongs to one and only one insurance company. Maybe we just added a new insurance company. We've not sold anything yet, but we've added them to our system so that we can. So that way we maintain referential integrity that every policy must belong to a customer and must belong to an insurance company. Okay, I've added the agent entity also here, and I said that an agent sells the policy. So that relationship would be a sells relationship, and I could put the word sells beside it. So an agent sells 0 or more policies, but a policy is sold by one and only one agent. So there you can now see that we have a subject area model that represents customer, policy, insurance company, and agent. And all the cardinalities are involved. Kind of making sense. Kind of looks like the problem that we described a couple of slides ago. Let's take this to the next level. So here I take that same customer, policy, insurance company, agent subject area model, and I've now added 2 exclusive subtypes. The first exclusive subtype you'll see is a customer, because there are 2 basic types of customers: business customers and individual customers. Business customers would have business information like business ownership, like type of business, like subject SIC code or employer code, and all kinds of data that might be about a business. An individual would have information that a business wouldn't have, like spouse and number of children and all of that. So you can see they're both customers, but they have subsets of special data that go along with the 2 different types of customers. Could we have a third type of customer? Maybe. And we could add that as we move into the logical data model. Let's look at policy, though. because I have 7 different types of policies that we talked about. There's business policies, like business continuation and business liability policy. There's a home policy, a homeowner's or renter's policy. There's a life insurance policy. There's an automobile policy. There's a health insurance policy. There's a workers' compensation policy. And there's a marine policy. For those of you who don't know insurance, just as a simple extra bonus to this class, a marine policy is the type of policy you buy on a special collection or a special item. For instance, you can buy a marine policy on a diamond ring, and if you lose that diamond ring or it's stolen, it's replaced. That diamond ring isn't included in your homeowners because it's too expensive. So if you have a special collection or you're shipping something and you need to protect it for that time it's in motion, even if it's on a truck, you would purchase something called a marine policy. But so you can see the different types of policies. Are there other kinds of policies? Yeah. Would the agency, as the agency grows, add more policies? Yes, but it would just fit into that subtype exclusive because I said it was an inclusive subtype because I don't think you can be two policies, two different types of policies. They'd be separate policies all to the same customer. So you can see here how we've now exploded that little simple subject area model to a subject area model that we can sit down with our stakeholders, we can sit down with the primaries in the agency, and we can sit down with our ID people, and we can say, is this what you're talking about? And they should be able to look at this and go, yeah, that's what we're looking for. And that's what a subject area model is all about. This concludes this video on Chapter 8 from the Hoberman book. I'd like to say thank you for watching. Remember, this presentation is copyright 2020 by James Imrino, PhD. All rights are reserved.